Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Julie Langenkamp, Product Marketing Manager at ZenOptics. Apparently, I am listed as ZenOptics Marketing today, but my name is Julie. I am excited today to kick off a new webinar type of series for us. It's a shortened conversational format designed to be conversational between our experts. And hopefully you will learn something and be a little entertained in the shortened format. We're aiming for 20 minutes. Give us, wish us luck, but it's designed to fit in your busy day. So the thought behind this was that we at ZenOptics are super fortunate to know and work with many industry experts, and we wanted to share their insights and their perspectives. So we are creating a series of themed conversations with many of these people. And our first celebrity guest, we are super thrilled to welcome internationally respected Dr. Claudia Imhoff. Our first series is themed around unifying analytics. And I could go on and on about Claudia's career. Her bio is even longer than what I put on the screen here, but let me just say that she is a female pioneer in data and analytics. She has co-authored 5 books and has written more than 150 articles for technical and business magazines and is well respected throughout the industry. She teaches and has also founded the Boulder BI Brain Trust, and I have to say that slowly because of all of the B's, Claudia, but it is a consortium of independent analysts and consultants bringing together, again, with the thought of bringing together thought leaders and the consultants who can share the messages. Our co-host for today from the ZenOptics side is Saurabh Khera. Saurabh is our CEO and founder, and he has a passion for identifying transformational ideas and building them into strong companies. This drives him as he leads the vision for ZenOptics, vision and strategy. And he founded ZenOptics realizing that today's self-service and BI and analytics world, enterprises seek a unified view of analytics and their intelligence assets, but they're often locked away in multiple silos, and this creates challenges. But also, both of our guests today recognize that opening up those silos to everybody within the organization conceptually provides value. You want to enable people with data, but also there are some challenges. So that's what we're going to explore today. And on that note, I will hand it over to you, Claudia.
All right. Thank you, Julie. And thank you, ZenOptics. What a pleasure to be invited to the party. I really appreciate it. It's a good company. It's a good topic. Well, it's a hard topic, I guess I should say. Let's start with this. Oh my goodness, 30 years ago, we had such great intentions. We had architectures, we had data warehouses, we had buses, we had all kinds of ways of creating analytics. And we did a very fine job of creating analytics all over. Normally, a department would create its own little mini data warehouse. The enterprise itself has so many things. And what that meant was that for the ordinary Joe, it was pretty difficult to find anything. If you wanted to find a report, it was almost impossible. If you wanted to find a dashboard, it was almost impossible. That brought up the next slide here. And by the way, this is not an endorsement for these vendors. It's just to show you that you have an incredible opportunity to buy more than one. And most organizations will have somewhere between 3 to 5. Some even more than that. Even within a single department, you'll see 3 to 5. And what it means is that a new person or someone not familiar with all the technologies has a really difficult time. What they need is some kind of, shall we say, marketplace that brings together everything so that they can find a report, find whatever they need. And that does mean that the employees have to be a little bit knowledgeable at least, and know that they have a marketplace if it exists. Unfortunately, in most organizations, it doesn't exist. But let me read this quote because this is just perfect. It's from a fellow by the name of Jerry McGovern from New Thinking newsletter. Being an information worker, that's all you folks. Being an information worker is a bit like being a hunter-gatherer. Instead of hunting for food, though, you're hunting for information. The life of the hunter-gatherer is not easy. For instead of wading through swamps and climbing treacherous mountains looking for food, this information hunter-gatherer wades through search results and stumbles through data fog. I love this guy. What a perfect comment on where we are today with even our vaulted data scientists looking for things. So what's the problem with having analytics shotgunned all over the organization? Well, the first one is that proliferation. It means that we have reports, in some cases, very similar reports, showing up in sales and marketing and customer service, because they all deal with the customer and customer information. So the proliferation of assets throughout the enterprise is problem number one. Saurabh, what do you have to say about this?
Claudia, firstly, thank you for setting it up. This is something very, very close to my heart for many years. But, I've come from a world where you would have an ERP, you would acquire an SAP and an Oracle or a Tableau or a Microsoft, and you would inherit the BI application that came with that. But gone are those days. There's so many BI silos, so many options available. Now it's just a free for all, right? It's just become like a conundrum, or like you call it, an analytics swarm. So every company we talk to right now, it's not just about these BI tools, right? There's embedded analytics everywhere. Salesforce has their own analytics, and that noise just doesn't stop right now. So it's something that I deal with every day, not just externally, but even within our own enterprise.
All right, and let's talk about what that means. The differing results, that's been a problem for years. People come into a meeting thinking they've got hot off the presses numbers, they know that they're right, everything's good, and you know what? They don't match the person sitting next to them. That's part of the that's the worst part of the analytics swamp. Nobody trusts the data anymore. You've run across that as well, Saurabh?
Oh, totally. It's as simple as, if I just cite an example, recently I was talking to a financial services company, a really big company, and the bigger the company, the bigger the problem is what we're realizing. They just made a rounding error of $40 million. And it's not just because they were using the wrong data, but they were using the wrong analytics asset, the report. Like they had 10 different account payable reports, and they just promoted the wrong one. And this is just one example that I'm citing, but every day we talk to, people are confused. Am I doing the right analysis? That confidence or that trust is really shaky right now.
Well, let's talk about the reasons why behind the lack of trust too. A large part of that is the fact that there is no governance. Anyone can create any report they want to with any tool they want to, it seems like today. So we have no real governance over the creation of the reports, nor do we really have any feel for the utilization of reports. Reports can lay fallow for years, and we just keep grinding them out and nobody's using them. These are the problems that I see with the fact that we have no governance. What do you think of that?
Everyone in the world of governance, everyone talks about data governance, right? It's just synonymous with the word governance. But I think to simplify things, we forget the basic. How is this data being consumed, right? A business user doesn't go into a data warehouse and look at raw data to make his or her decision. They consume it in the form of a report. They consume it in the form of a dashboard, right? So that is the missing link in the world of governance, the analytics governance, which we really are starting to see the impact that having a governance at the analytics and the consumption layer has been the missing piece. So fantastic. I really relate to the governance concept and the concept of analytics.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier, I'll do it with this last bullet, that decisions indeed are being made with, in many cases, dubious analytic assets, people sitting next to each other with different numbers and different dashboards and different widgets, and yet all trying to make a similar, if not the same, decision. So I think we can see that there are problems all over the place. If we can, let's move on to the impact and see what that means. The impact is massive. The distrust and the lack of confidence is a killer. We know today that about 20% of the employees actually use the analytics. The other 80% are in this distrust and lack of confidence bucket. They don't believe what they don't believe what they see. The other one is the duplication of effort. If I don't know that a report already exists, what am I going to do? I'm going to recreate that stupid report again. It's a duplication of effort. It's a waste of my time. It already exists, but I don't know it. And that's where we waste the time. We're recreating the wheel over and over and over. That leads to that last bullet point, which is terrible. Today, we're putting so much into the cloud and we're paying for that data storage. We're paying for everything we put into the cloud. And if we create redundant reports, we're paying twice for what we should be paying once. So, Saurabh, I'm going to ask for your last comment on this before we go into your piece. Thoughts?
Claudia, it's not just about data storage, right? It's about the processing, because you might create 3 different reports, but people are not using, but the processing time and the processing that's happening underneath that's adding to the cost. So the duplication of content is yes, but the cost of managing these redundant reports continuously increases. And of course, no counting all the fines and the governance around it, where employees, enterprises can really get impacted if you are reporting wrong numbers. Right. So it really can impact both the top line as well as the bottom line. So what is ZenOptics? ZenOptics is primarily built to address the whole consumption aspect, right? The idea is not to become yet another BI tool or yet another platform out there. It's to maximize and modernize your existing investments, create a unified analytics marketplace for any and every user in the organization to go to access the reports, be it a simple HR report for your payroll or your personal administration, or it could be complex, strategic decisions that need to be made. But empowering the user is one thing, but can the user behavior, can their demand really empower the producers, the data and the analytics team and the analysts who are really producing these reports? So ZenOptics really tries to drive the value and bridging that gap between both the business users, that is the consumers, as well as the producers. So in my previous job, we would say the dark side and the bright side, right? IT would always be associated with the bright side. So we set out on a mission to really bridge that gap and make it one. Now, how does ZenOptics work? We're really trying to redefine this whole analytics operating model. So highly automated connectors into not just the BI stack, but data sources and business applications, and ultimately build out the foundation of it in the form of an analytics catalog. Yes, you can integrate your existing investments into data catalogs, data governance, data quality tools, collaboration tools, but ultimately focusing on what does that business user need to be productive in the form of Netflix for BI. Can I make it stupid simple for them to go in of the way how Netflix transformed the whole world of media? Can I bring in conversational analytics? Can I bring in guided processes so that they are more productive when they're doing repeatable processes? So at this time, a picture paints 1,000 words, but let me give you a quick overview of the platform, just to set it up for the future conversations. So if I log into ZenOptics, it is a single sign-on enabled platform. It is basically all your unified analytics spread across your BI tools, your applications, your Excels and spreadsheets and PowerPoints, everything in one place. Just curate that experience. Bring it all in one place, create that unified view, not just your analytics, but also your metrics, what actually drive the business forward. If you don't have access to something, keep it as simple for discoverability. Promote easy access to what is already existing. If you don't have access to it, just request for access, because 90 to 95% of the time, that asset is already existing. And give the user the ability to easily search and find their inventory, right? It could be looking at it in silo across different BI tools that you might have, across applications, across SharePoints and network drives, or which might be in SQL Server or HANA tables of views, because data scientists need that also. So that's one way of easily finding it. The second simplistic way could be organizing it, curating it in the form of categories, which might be, you know what, I am catering to the CFO. I want the CFO to have really tight focus. Their job is not to go in and search. Their job is to make decisions, find the asset, look at the numbers, make decisions. Give them a curated, but trusted and governed and approved assets that they need to make the decisions. And last but not the least, it's an innovative concept that we're bringing to the market with workflows. These are business processes which drive consistency and collaboration within the enterprise. Why? Nobody consumes a report just for the heck of it. It is supposed to drive a business objective or a business process. So really organizing that content and empowering not just that individual user, but empowering teams to be consistent. And, you know, as a finance user, I can just come in and execute my workflow and everything is automatically lined up for me. Doesn't matter where it resides, what it is supposed to do. So just a quick teaser about ZenOptics. I'm sure in our future Zen Talk session, we'll be covering a lot of it. But just to encapsulate, you know, this whole session today, I'd like to really call out, it's all about the business user. But ultimately, the three key personas that really need to be impacted are the BI stewards and the management. Because ultimately, you want to become a data-driven organization. You want to increase the corporate analytics culture. So today, we just focused on the business user. And subsequently, in the coming times, we will talk about governance in the world of analytics, and really, how do you take that 20% adoption of analytics, even after decades and decades of innovation? How do you really drive that forward? How can you get an organization to become a true, actual data-driven organization, not just by doing data transformation projects and adding more tools, but actually what is already out there, can you increase adoption? So Claudia, this was wonderful talking to you. Julie, I would like to pass it over to you.
Well, I'm going to throw it back at Claudia for a moment and just say, you know, we've talked a lot about this problem of disjointed analytics or siloed analytics, siloed data from the perspective of the end user. And in the last minute or so that we have here, Claudia, I know you will join us for parts 2 and 3 of this series where we look at it from other approaches. But is there anything else that you want to just say as a final note about this problem that end users face, the business users face, in terms of not having this unified view of analytics?
Yeah, you know, it took us a while to get to this fractured view, this chaotic view of data. And in any problem area, something always bubbles out that's a solution. And I'm so happy to see that this analytic hub, this marketplace, this place where I can go, where I can find whatever it is that I need, that has been needed probably for 10 years or 20 years. But how lovely that we now are seeing a bright spot like this, a place where I can find something fabulous.
Well, thank you. And that certainly validates our thinking in terms of, you know, how we're trying to bring things together for the unified view, for the end users, for the management, for the stewards, to be able to surface the right assets to make the right decisions. So I want to thank both Saurabh and Claudia, as we made it almost to the 20-minute mark and covered a lot of ground in a very short time period. But it was super fun preparing for this and talking with you. And I feel like as we go into parts 2 and 3 of this series, Claudia, we will have even more fun as we dive a little bit deeper into these, into what this entails, what this looks like in terms of real world for organizations, and the solutions that, not just about technology, but about people and processes and what that looks like to resolve these problems that we talked about today. So with respect to the time period that we intended, thank you both to our speakers and to all of our audience for joining us today. It has been our great pleasure.
Thank you.